Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be reacting to When Britain Nuked America Twice. What? That- I, don't- I mean, I'm not great at history. I know a fair bit though, and I don't remember us ever nuking America. So this is going to be really interesting. I wonder if this is like, I don't know. I can't really think what it might be. I've had this video on my to watch list for ages, and I thought, why just not? Let's just watch it now. Why not? Um, yeah, I'm just trying to think of what it could be. I have no idea. I'm really interested to find out about this. It's not a long video. It's 12 minutes, and this could be some really interesting history, or it could just be a joke. It might be a meme. I don't know. We'll see. Let's jump into it. So this is When Britain Nuked America Twice by Mark Felton Productions. Okay, here we go. Let's turn down a lot. Okay, yep. We are good. Here we go.
In the 1960s, Great Britain nuked the United States not once, but twice.
What an opener. What an opener for a video.
Fortunately for all concerned, the attacks were only training exercises, but so embarrassing were these attacks that they were hidden from the American public for about 50 years, as well as being strenuously denied to the American press for decades. As far as America was concerned, its defenses were 99% effective. But in simulated attacks, Royal Air Force bombers managed to penetrate US airspace to launch nuclear attacks on New York City and several other important urban centers.
That's actually really scary. To think that not necessarily just Britain, but anyone was able to get past America's defenses like that, and them just lie about it. It makes sense that they lie about it. They don't want to advertise to other countries that they've got, they have holes in their defense. But I can't believe that you got New York City, for example, on here. This is crazy.
Before I tell you how, a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by CuriosityStream, a subscription streaming service created by the founder of the Discovery Channel that offers thousands of documentaries and non-fiction titles from some of the world's best filmmakers, including exclusive originals. Like Adolf Hitler, The Itinerary, an immense study of Hitler's movements from childhood to the end of his life, and D-Day, Hidden Traces, that uses archaeology to uncover what was left behind in Normandy by Allied and Axis troops from helmets to bunkers. Get unlimited access starting at just $2.99 a month or $19.99 a year, and for my audience, the first 30 days are completely free if you sign up at curiositystream.com/Mark Felton and use the promo code Mark Felton during the sign-up process. CuriosityStream, the best streaming service for lovers of history. How did the British manage to penetrate the world's most heavily defended airspace? The answer is surprisingly simple and consists of two words: Avro Vulcan.
Is that a plane? Is that the jet? Such a cool sound.
The Vulcan first flew in 1952. The team that created it, led by Roy Chadwick, who had designed the famous Lancaster heavy bomber of World War II. A jet-powered, tailless, delta-wing, high-altitude strategic bomber, the Vulcan was the backbone of Britain's nuclear airborne deterrent during most of the Cold War, serving from 1956 until retirement in 1984. This is the story of Exercise Sky Shield, when Britain nuked its closest ally, exposing how the Soviet Union could have done the same for real. In 1960, the United States decided to run the largest test of its air defenses in history. Exercise Sky Shield 1 occurred on the 10th of September 1960.
That's a cool name.
And all commercial air traffic over the US and Canada was grounded, amounting to 1,000 US commercial flights and 700 general aviation aircraft, plus a further 31 foreign flights due to land in North America. The U.S. Strategic Air Command would launch B-52 Stratofortresses and B-47 Stratojets to simulate a massive Soviet nuclear bomber force approaching North America from north and south. 360 U.S. interceptor aircraft stood ready to defeat these enemy aircraft, which numbered 310. Among those 310 aircraft were 8 Royal Air Force Vulcan B-2 nuclear bombers. A flight of 4 flew from Scotland, while the other 4 launched from the British territory of Bermuda in the Atlantic Ocean. The American plan was to detect these enemy bombers by radar and other early warning systems, and then they would be intercepted and destroyed in simulated attacks by US jet fighters and missile batteries.
Makes sense.
The attacking bombers split their attacks between high and low altitude. The defending fighters did very well against the Stratojets and Stratofortresses, intercepting many of them, but the Vulcans proved more elusive opponents. The Vulcan flew at the highest altitude of the simulated Soviet bombers, cruising at 56,000 feet. One was successfully intercepted at this altitude over Goose Bay, Labrador, by a United States Air Force F-101 Voodoo. But the other 7 Vulcans all managed to penetrate American airspace to launch simulated bombing attacks on US cities. They then turned around and landed at Stephenville, Newfoundland. The question was, how had the Vulcan managed it? The answer...
Look at that. That is so cool. All those buttons. I wonder if every single button and knob here is all unique, or some of them like backup buttons, or if it's kind of like how how like jets, when you go on a plane, like a commercial plane, you'll see that the actual like dashboard is mirrored for both pilots a lot of the time. So there's a lot of kind of repeat buttons. There's so much there to just like. I'd love to like go to a museum and see one of these in person and just like be able to look at it. This stuff is really interesting to me.
Was their highly advanced electronic countermeasures systems and the Vulcan's amazing maneuverability. For example, the flight of 4 aircraft that approached from Bermuda were successful because 3 of them put up a wall of electronic interference that prevented interception, while the 4th Vulcan carried out a simulated nuclear strike. This was all rather embarrassing for Strategic Air Command, which quickly buried all stories about British bombers having nuked US targets and confidently assured the American public that US air defenses were, as I said, 99% effective. However, the following year the Americans invited the RAF to take part in Exercise Sky Shield 2. Perhaps the US AF was determined to show that the Vulcan's previous success was only a fluke, a one-time only event. Sky Shield 2, which occurred on the 14th of August 1961, was an even bigger event than the first one. It caused 2,900 US and Canadian flights to be grounded, affecting 125,000 commercial passengers. During the exercise,
I wonder how much that like costs them. That's a huge deal. I don't know if they'd even be able to do that today. To just ground all flights, that's insane.
125 US and British bombers would be pitted against 1,800 fighters and 250 missile sites, and over 200,000 Air Force personnel from the US and Canada.
Look at that beast, how the wings are just flopping a bit. It's insane.
Coming up on 16.5 seconds. Now, continuing. Yep, and I'm stood ready, now. Brace up hard, gear. Come up. 6 up, standing by flaps.
Again, 8 Vulcan B-2s participated, split again into 2 flights. One attacking on the northern route from RAF Lossiemouth in Scotland via Canada, and the other 4 aircraft on a southerly route from Kindley Air Force Base, Bermuda. The B-47 Stratojets simulated low-level Soviet bombers. The B-52s would attack between 35,000 and 42,000 feet, while the Vulcans again operated at the highest altitude, 56,000 feet. At the massive NORAD, or North American Air Defense Bunker at Colorado Springs, the U.S. top brass was joined by the RAF's Air Marshal Sir Kenneth Cross of Bomber Command and Sir Wallace Kyle, Chief of the RAF Technical Training Command, to monitor the exercise. Just before 2 p.m., U.S. interceptors pounced on the B-52s, approaching at the mid to high altitude level. The Vulcans also came in from the north, and again, due to the Vulcans' high-tech jamming equipment, only one was shot down by an F-101 Voodoo fighter. In fact, large numbers of U.S. fighters were scrambled, but they concentrated almost exclusively on the B-52s.
Interesting.
When the Vulcans came over, the interceptors did not have sufficient fuel remaining to climb to 56,000 feet plus and engage them.
Wow, so they did see them, but because they spent most of their fuel focusing on the the big bombers, that they just couldn't do anything about it. That's kind of scary.
The surviving 3 Vulcans conducted their attacks successfully, turned around and landed at Stephenville, Newfoundland. The southern attack force of 4 Vulcans from Bermuda reached a position 50 miles off the U.S. coast before fighters were scrambled to intercept. Again, 3 of the Vulcans unleashed an electronic jamming screen that kept the attacking F-102 Delta Daggers busy, while the 4th aircraft crept round to the north and sneaked through. This Vulcan proceeded to land at Plattsburgh Air Force Base in New York. If this had been a real attack, New York City could have been reduced to a smoking, irradiated hole in the ground. Many of the Stratojets and Stratofortresses had also managed to evade interception and launch simulated nuclear attacks, but not at the kind of success rate that the Vulcans enjoyed. In 2 massive exercises of 8 Vulcans that attacked on each occasion, 7 had got through to their targets, an astounding survival rate against the huge might of the US air defenses.
That is ridiculous.
The Vulcans showed that with the right aircraft, America could be laid wide open to a nation-ending assault, something which the Soviet Union would have been very interested in. Fortunately for all concerned, the relationship between Britain and the United States never changed from special to decidedly antagonistic, and the Vulcans never came in anger. The American government also tried to make damn sure that nobody ever found out about the Vulcans nuking American cities. The US Air Force was very quick to deny rumors that RAF planes had once again successfully penetrated US airspace. In fact, the US government went so far as to classify all references to Vulcans included in the Sky Shield exercises. After all, if the RAF could practice nuke New York City, Washington, D.C., and even Chicago, the Soviets could do the same, if they could develop an aircraft as good as the Vulcan. As far as Strategic Air Command was concerned, the Vulcan episodes had never happened, and the US was well protected, and that protection, as I said, 99% effective. The Vulcans' successful attacks on America were only fully declassified in 1997, long after the Vulcan had left British service.
I wonder what replaced it. That's really interesting.
Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.
That's a really interesting story, actually. it makes sense that obviously it's a war game. I think we all knew that Britain didn't actually nuke America, but that's really cool. That must have been really fun for the pilots, to be honest. Like those kind of war games where you can go to another country's airspace, somewhere where you can't normally fly, and you're flying over cities, like populated areas, to just like prove that you can is kind of scary, but also it's just not something that you'd really see today. So that's just a really unique opportunity, I suppose. Yeah, I wonder what replaced the Vulcan. Because clearly it was like a top of the line jet at the time. It's what's crazy about this is that it says that Britain nuked America twice, but actually it was like 14 times over 2 different periods or something like that. They said like 7 made it through the second time. I think it's around the same amount that made it through the first time, which is insane. That's just crazy to me. Yeah, just thinking that obviously that was completely like kept top secret for so long, and it makes sense that they do that because, as you said in the video, you don't want other countries to know that this happened, and that it's happened again and again, and there's clearly some vulnerabilities there. It's not really something that can. I assume that these days that would never happen with like technology. You see the planes before they even get close to any American state, really. There's one other thing I was going to say. I can't remember what it was. Oh, that was it. Yeah, it's funny that they say it's 99% effective. I really dislike, and you always get whenever you find this stuff, whether it's like a system, like a software, like uptime, it's always like 99.999% effective or 99% always up, and that sounds like, yeah, that's really good. But that 1%, it only takes if in the event of that 1% is a nuke going off, that 1% feels scary. But yeah, that's really interesting. I really like that. So it's such a random video to upload, but I thought I thought this might be interesting. See if you guys like it. I'm gonna end it there. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.